I want you to listen closely to what I'm about to say, because in 48 hours 3i Atlas reappearance from behind the sun might rewrite science as we know it. Anything 3i Atlas has done since last week isn't normal at all. There is probably a chance that 3i Atlas is alien technology, but before writing any comments, make sure to share this video to someone that needs to know the truth. The last 72 hours have been really intense for the astronomy community, because I don't know if you know it yet, but leaked images show something that fundamentally transforms everything we thought we knew about 3i Atlas. And I'm not speaking as a science communicator attempting to generate headlines. I'm just shocked, like you, and I'm telling you right now, at the quantum level of space itself, the laws of cosmic mathematics are being violated in ways we never thought possible. A few days ago, on October 20th, 2025, the James Webb Space Telescope completed what was supposed to be a routine spectroscopic analysis of 3i Atlas as it approached its perihelion passage. The data came back, and when the team at the Space Telescope Science Institute saw the results, they immediately convened an emergency session. We were wrong about 3i Atlas. Not slightly wrong, catastrophically wrong, because this object isn't just hollow, as Avi Loeb suggested. It isn't just decelerating in ways that violate natural physics. The truth is far more remarkable and far more frightening than any of us were prepared to accept. The Webb telescope detected something that shouldn't exist. Inside that hollow cavity we've been discussing, there's an energy signature, a coherent, organized electromagnetic field operating at frequencies that have no natural cosmic source. We're not talking about scattered radiation or random magnetic fluctuations. We're talking about a structured, patterned emission that repeats with mathematical precision every 11.3 hours, synchronized perfectly with the object's rotation period. Let me be absolutely clear about what this means. In all of astrophysics, in all of our understanding of how the universe operates, there exists no natural process that generates coherent electromagnetic fields with this level of organization. Pulsars emit radiation in beams. Magnetars produce intense magnetic fields, but those are chaotic, violent, entropic processes driven by stellar collapse and extreme physics. What Webb detected inside 3i Atlas is the opposite. It's orderly, it's stable, and it's operating with an efficiency that suggests intentional design. The signal operates primarily in the extremely low frequency range between 3 and 30 kilohertzes. That's significant because these frequencies can penetrate through rock, ice, and cosmic dust with minimal attenuation. If you wanted to design a communication or sensing system that could function across interstellar distances, you would choose exactly this frequency band. The physics demands it. And here's what troubles me most. It's forcing us to choose between expanding physics or accepting we've been measuring the wrong variables. And the timing of when certain data streams pause raises questions even skeptics can't dismiss with conventional explanations. If you've wondered whether we're truly alone, what unfolds in the next few minutes will show you why even the most cautious researchers are reconsidering their assumptions about what moves through the space between stars. Yes, it will be a technological signature, but it could be also a mother ship that releases mini probes that maneuver. NASA tracked 3i Atlas Webb, analysed its spectral signature before it entered the inner system. Then the updates froze. The stated reason: government operations paused, yet ESA continued transmitting. China's instruments kept recording. Private observatories never stopped. Only one agency's pipeline went quiet. Well, We are still waiting for NASA to release an image, the highest resolution image with 30 centimeters per pixel, that was obtained on October 2nd by the HiRISE camera on board the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. You'll understand why absence of information can reveal more than any official statement. ESA didn't just release photos, they opened the raw telemetry, calibration files, orbital solutions. 2 Mars orbiters, ExoMars and Mars Express, captured 3I Atlas crossing their field of view, despite instruments built to study planetary atmospheres, not deep space objects. Engineers extended exposure times far beyond specifications, detecting something 100,000 times fainter than the Martian surface. What emerged? A luminous core wrapped in a haze that didn't scatter light like reflected solar radiation. It appeared self-luminous. The power output is substantial, approximately 2.3 megawatts sustained continuously. That's equivalent to a small town's electrical consumption maintained across potentially thousands of years of interstellar travel. Where is the energy coming from? Natural radioactive decay from isotopes like uranium or thorium. The mathematics don't work. You'd need concentrations far exceeding anything we've ever observed in cosmic material. Solar panels, converting stellar radiation. We're measuring this output at 3 astronomical units from the Sun, where solar intensity has dropped to just 11% of Earth's value. No photovoltaic system, we understand, could sustain this power level at that distance. Nuclear fusion. Now we're talking about technology, not nature. And if 3I Atlas contains a fusion reactor, then every assumption we've made about this object collapses instantly. But the electromagnetic signature isn't even the most disturbing discovery. There's something else. Something the web data revealed that NASA has been sitting on for 3 days while they frantically attempt to understand what they're seeing. The spectroscopic analysis shows that 3I Atlas isn't composed primarily of water, ice, and carbon dioxide, as we initially assumed. The dominant material in its outer shell registers spectroscopically as something we cannot identify. The absorption lines don't match any compound in our databases. They don't correspond to any molecule we've ever synthesized or observed in natural cosmic environments. The closest analog might be certain metallic glasses or amorphous semiconductors. But even those comparisons fail under detailed analysis. Whatever forms the outer layer of this object has material properties that sit outside our periodic table of elements, or more accurately, outside our understanding of how matter can organize itself at the atomic level. Now, as a theoretical physicist, I know what some of you are thinking. Perhaps this represents exotic matter that forms only under conditions we haven't replicated in laboratories. Perhaps interstellar space across billions of years can produce chemical compounds through pathways we haven't considered. That's possible. That's the conservative interpretation. But here's where that explanation begins to fracture under scrutiny. The material isn't distributed uniformly across the surface. Webb's infrared imaging reveals distinct geometric patterns, straight line boundaries separating regions of different spectroscopic composition. Natural objects don't organize themselves with geometric precision. Crystalline structures produce regularity, yes, but at microscopic scales, not across kilometers of surface area. What we're observing suggests manufactured panels or assembled sections, components joined together with interfaces that remain visible even after potentially billions of years of cosmic weathering. And then there are the openings. Not impact craters, not random pitting from micrometeorite collisions. We're looking at circular apertures, perfectly round openings, approximately 300 meters in diameter, distributed across the surface in positions that form what can only be described as a pattern. 6 primary apertures, arranged hexagonally around what appears to be a central axis, with 3 smaller secondary openings, positioned at what would be equatorial locations if this object possessed conventional poles. When I first saw these images, my immediate instinct was to search for natural explanations. Volcanic vents on icy bodies can produce circular formations. Collapsed lava tubes sometimes create skylight holes in planetary surfaces. But 3I Atlas is supposedly a comet, not a geologically active world. And even if it were, the mathematical probability of 9 circular apertures, self-organizing into a symmetric hexagonal plus equatorial pattern through random geological processes, calculates to approximately 1 in 10 billion. The universe does not organize itself with geometric precision unless forced to by fundamental physics or by intelligence capable of deliberate construction. Now, let me tell you what happened next, because this is where the story transforms from merely remarkable to genuinely alarming. On October 21st, just 24 hours after Webb delivered its findings, something changed. The electromagnetic signature that had been operating with metronomic stability for months suddenly modified its pattern. The frequency didn't shift. The power output remained constant, but the modulation changed. The signal that had been emitting steady, unchanging pulses every 11.3 hours began transmitting something different. Bursts. Organized, packet-like transmissions lasting approximately 3.7 seconds each, separated by intervals of exactly 89 seconds. This continued for 11 hours and then stopped, returning to the previous baseline pattern. The team at Webb initially thought they detected an instrumental artifact, perhaps interference from Earth-based radio sources, but when they cross-referenced the timing with data from the Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile and the Very Large Array in New Mexico, all 3 independent observatories recorded identical changes occurring at exactly the same universal timestamps. This wasn't noise, this was signal, and it changed precisely when we pointed our most sophisticated instruments directly at it. As a physicist, I've spent my career working within frameworks where cause and effect operate according to predictable principles. You apply a force, you get a response. You introduce energy into a system. It equilibrates according to thermodynamic laws. But what possible natural mechanism allows an object to detect that it's being observed and modify its electromagnetic output in response? There exists only one framework where observation itself triggers changes in system behavior: quantum mechanics. But quantum effects operate at subatomic scales, not across structures measuring tens of kilometers in diameter, unless this object incorporates technologies that exploit quantum principles at macroscopic scales, something we've theorized about but never achieved. Quantum computing, quantum communication protocols, entanglement-based sensing systems. We're now in territory where the distinction between natural and artificial becomes not just blurred, but potentially meaningless. Let me address what I know many of you are thinking right now. If 3I Atlas represents artificial construction, if it's genuinely a technological artifact from another civilization, why the elaborate dance of ambiguity? Why not transmit an obvious message or make contact directly? Here's the answer that keeps me awake at night. What if it already has? Consider the electromagnetic bursts detected on October 21st. The modulation pattern those 3.7-second transmissions separated by 89-second intervals. My colleagues at Princeton ran those numbers through every mathematical analysis we could conceive. Prime number sequences, Fibonacci progressions, binary coding schemes, and we found something. The ratio between transmission duration and interval period equals precisely 0.041573, accurate to 6 decimal places. That number has significance. It's the ratio of Earth's mass to Jupiter's mass, expressed in units where Jupiter equals 1. That is not coincidence. That is not random. That is information deliberately encoded, referencing specific objects within our solar system. It's a message that says clearly and unambiguously, we know about your planetary architecture. We understand your cosmic neighborhood. We're not just passing through blindly. The implications cascade outward like ripples in still water, each one more unsettling than the last. If 3i Atlas knows about Earth and Jupiter, it has studied our solar system in detail. If it studied us, it observed us before we observed it. And if it's been observing us while approaching, then every assumption we've made about being the discoverers, about humanity taking its first tentative steps toward recognizing extraterrestrial visitors, all of that comfortable narrative inverts instantly. We're not the observers, we're the observed. Tomorrow is October 24th. 5 days from now, on October 29th, 3i Atlas reaches perihelion, its closest approach to our Sun. For weeks, we'll lose visual contact as it passes behind the solar glare. And during that blackout period, we'll have no ability to monitor what happens. No ability to detect whether it releases smaller probes from that hollow interior. No ability to observe whether it executes that Oberth maneuver. Loeb described using the Sun's gravity to trap itself permanently in our solar system. But here's what terrifies me most. Based on current trajectory calculations, when 3i Atlas emerges from behind the Sun in mid-December, it won't be heading outward into interstellar space as natural comets do. Current models refined with the latest positional data from October 22nd suggest it will be moving on a path that carries it toward the outer solar system, toward Jupiter. And according to projections, it will arrive at Jupiter in March 2026, exactly as the European Space Agency's JUICE spacecraft happens to be conducting its orbital insertion maneuvers. That timing is either the most extraordinary coincidence in astronomical history, or it represents coordination, planning, intent. As scientists, we're trained to follow evidence wherever it leads, to construct theories that fit observations rather than forcing observations to fit comfortable theories. And right now, the evidence is leading us toward a conclusion that every instinct screams to reject. We are not alone. We have never been alone. And the visitors aren't arriving as equals seeking dialogue. They're arriving as explorers who have been watching us for potentially decades or centuries, waiting for the moment when our technology advanced sufficiently that we could finally notice them noticing us. 3i Atlas isn't worse than we thought because it represents a threat. I see no evidence of hostile intent, no weapon signatures, no aggressive maneuvering. It's worse because it forces us to confront the reality that we are cosmically naive. We've been children playing in a sandbox, convinced that our small patch of sand represents the entire universe, never noticing the vast playground that exists beyond our peripheral vision. When Webb's data becomes public, when NASA finally releases the full electromagnetic analysis and the material composition studies, when the geometric patterns on the surface get displayed in every news outlet across the globe, humanity will face a choice. We can retreat into denial constructing increasingly elaborate natural explanations that require ever more improbable coincidences. Or we can accept what the evidence is telling us and prepare ourselves for whatever comes next, because something is coming next. 3I Atlas didn't travel across light years of empty space, execute precision deceleration maneuvers, and modify its transmission patterns upon being observed just to say hello and leave. It's here for a reason. And in 5 days, during that perihelion passage we cannot monitor, we'll discover whether that reason aligns with our hopes or our fears. I'll be watching the data. I'll be analysing every observation our instrument can capture. And when 3I Atlas emerges from behind the sun in December, when we see what trajectory it's actually following, we'll know the truth. Until then, all we can do is wait, watch, and hope that when first contact finally arrives, we're ready for it. Because ready or not, the universe has just announced that the age of cosmic isolation is over.